Hi, everyone. Welcome back to The Rich Nonprofit. I'm here with Gabs Hayes again. Hi, Gabs.
Hello.
So glad you're here. We are back from our strategic planning intensive in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yes.
It was amazing. And I want to talk with Gabs all about it, what went well, just all the things. So we're going to dive right in. I want to know, what were you most nervous about for our 2 days together?
Ooh, I was most nervous that I had too many ideas and we wouldn't be able to put them into a plan. I'm a track notes in my phone kind of girl. And so I have, I don't know, as of today, 480 something notes. And of course, not all of them are specific to Overwhelms and Over It, but a lot of them are, or a lot of them tie into that. And so I was just really concerned, would we be able to walk away with a cohesive plan when I'm in such this, I have all the ideas phase and I haven't brought anything to fruition yet.
Yes, that's so valid. And we creators and entrepreneurs have a ton of ideas, but it's great that you have them in one place. And I thought that was so helpful because we just sat down and it was like, here they all are. But we worked through them, I thought, of what's going to work now and what you could do later.
Yeah. And, I think I had even made a comment to you at one point during the sessions of, I didn't even end up pulling out the notes in the way I thought. I thought I was going to go through each one and read them or kind of pull out nuggets to share with you. But instead, I actually think having all of those notes helped me mentally prepare, because what we ended up doing was just talking, genuinely, right? And so because I had allowed myself to dream and to ideate and to have all these ideas, when you started asking pointed questions because you knew where you were going with the information you were pulling out of me, I just had it at the ready to verbally share with you. And I thought that worked so well. And I felt very much like I got everything off my chest, I guess is the best way to say that, or I got everything out of my head, but I didn't have to go back and make sure, did I forget this sticky note? Did I forget that note? Did I, I had everything together.
Yeah, that's great. And that's what I love about this type of kind of strategic planning, or whatever name you want to give it, is that we just sat across from each other and we just talked. And it wasn't this feeling, sometimes you go into a boardroom and you're kind of like, oof, you're like, oh, what am I going to forget what I'm going to say and all these things? But that's not how I roll. That's not what I want, with my clients, because I care so deeply and I just want to hear from your heart and your soul. So I'm glad that worked for you as well, because that's what I like best, is just that conversation back and forth, because that's when those pieces of magic appear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it just feels so natural, right? And you are a friend, but it felt like just sitting and having a conversation with a friend, like you would on a Friday night, hanging out with your girlfriends. And so to see you in your zone of genius, where you knew what questions to ask, you knew where you were taking things, so you were kind of guiding the conversation, which is an art form to be able to do that. But for you to be able to just basically have a conversation with me and then turn it into an entire wall full of beautiful stickies, and I hope we get to share this wall so people can see it. That made me so happy. I left it up until I left, actually, because I was like, I just want to walk by and look at it. But it was really powerful to have someone pull that stuff out of your brain and then start to organize it without me even realizing you were organizing it, right? Because I think if I realized oh, Lisa's putting this here and that here, and this is why she's asking me. I think it's human behavior for us to start showing up thinking we have all the answers. And so we start saying what we think you want to hear or what we think needs to be said. And there were plenty of times in our 2 days together, I'm like, I don't know if this matters. I don't know if this applies, but here's what I'm thinking. And then you did do something with it. And so it worked out so naturally that I think even if you had given me the script and said, okay, you need to sit down and do this, and then you'll come out with your strategy plan, it wouldn't have come out the way it did, because it would have been this forcing function instead of natural release of what had been rolling around in my head.
Yes. Thank you for saying that. I feel that sometimes when I'm talking to prospective clients and they want to know the deliverables, they want to know exactly what to expect and what they should come with. And it, they're already overthinking it and getting themselves wound up. And so for me, it's hard to say, just come as you are and we're going to talk about it and it's going to go on sticky notes and it's going to be great. But until you experience that, it's hard because you want to prepare and you want to be that A student and you want to be ready to say what the other person wants to hear. Kind of like when I'm in therapy. I think we talked about that of like, okay, what would be the right answer to say right now? No, that's not going to work.
Yeah, like when I cursed with my therapist for the first time yesterday, which if you know me, I have a potty mouth of a sailor. That's not a shock. But, it's like new therapist, new room. And I'm like, okay, let me sit here. And finally I was like, no, she wants to know. So she's about to get it. She's about to hear what's really going on.
Here it comes. But that's when you get into it. That's when the facade drops and it's like, here's what I'm really thinking, feeling, and wanting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that to me is the gold. So was there a moment when something clicked during our 2 days that you weren't expecting?
Oh my God, yes. The elevator pitch. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I just have to give a little context for people to understand. So I have a background in training early stage entrepreneurs. I teach how to write an elevator pitch. I know how to write an elevator pitch. I know how this goes. But when you're in it, and Lisa and I had this conversation a lot over those 2 days of strategy planning. When you're in it, it is so hard to take a step back. Because when people say, tell me about your nonprofit or tell me what you do, or you instantly want to tell them all the things because you're like, I'm doing so many good things and I'm so like, we're doing such great work and I want you to hear of all of it. And so then like we word vomit and we jumble over our words. And before you know it, people are like glassed over and they're like, that was cool. And they're like thinking about something else. Right. And so I had told you unintentionally, but I had told you about a friend who had the greatest elevator pitch I've ever heard and how succinct it was. It was a single sentence. And when she said it in a conference, I beelined across the room to go introduce myself. And that's what I told you I wanted. I was like, when we leave here, that is my goal, is that Overwhelmed and Over It has an elevator pitch that's just like that. We even wrote the words elevator pitch on a separate sticky and just left it. Like, we're going to come back to this. But we never actually like went back. And there was a part of me that was like, oh God, we're going to get to the end of the week and we're never going to do this. But Lisa knew what she was doing. She didn't have to go back because the elevator pitch was already written on those other stickies. She was waiting for me to go back through and see it. And it was like the minute I said it, you and I both looked at each other. We just like giggled and it was like, that's it.
That's it. And I felt that sticky note that said elevator pitch, to be honest, I felt it was a little daunting also of like, calling to us, like, what is it? What is it? Because you want that answer. Kind of like my Instagram profile. It's like, it's got to be so many characters and it's got to be perfect. But it's all there. It's just pulling it out. And so when you did and you said it, it's like, yes. It was perfect.
It's so good. And I feel like, I was going to say, with behind the scenes, we have to share what it is, right?
Yeah, like, so give us your elevator pitch.
Overwhelmed and Over It exists to help people parent differently.
Isn't that perfect? It's just perfect.
It is so perfect. And it feels so good. And I'm sure we'll get into it around like kind of everything that I have processed and moved into action-wise since we left that. So I've got a lot of fun updates to share with you that I haven't even sent to you yet.
Okay. Well, I want listeners, viewers to know, because I should have given a little context in the beginning, but hopefully they're following along with us so they know that you are building this nonprofit real time. We are recording the ups and downs. And so can you you gave us the elevator pitch. Now tell us what your first event is going to be.
Yeah. So April 25th in Tulsa, because that's such a special place to our family, we are going to be hosting Core Memory Days. And so we are partnering with another nonprofit that runs a theater there. And we're going to be having a family movie day. Just come, hang, snack, hang out, meet other families that really just want to be together and want to do life that's not so chaotic and not so stressful, because the reality is life is overwhelming. And I don't care how much therapy, mentorship, coaching, extra hires and hands that you bring into your life. Life is overwhelming and it will forever be. So the goal is not to make it not overwhelming, especially if you're in the season of life where you're raising kids. Instead, it's to how do you get over it in certain seasons when it feels too overwhelming, when it feels too consuming, when you feel like you just can't catch a break. You know that there's other people who are here and ready to catch you and to hold you and to just like have a conversation. And sometimes that's what we need most, is to just be together and be talking and get out of our own head. And so we have a lot of ideas around how we'll do that. But yeah, the first event is Wheels Absolutely in Motion for April 25th. And I am so excited.
Yes. That is the best part so what we do is we take the big sticky notes and we put them on the wall and we come up with all these ideas that Gabs has been thinking about and who her end user is, right? Who people and the purpose and the 4 Ps. We get into that and then figure out, is it going to be a program? Is it going to be an event? How are we going to fundraise and give back to community at the same time? And so I love this event because that had been, even before we got together, this has been in your head of like, nope, this is what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And so putting it into action and giving it timeline, action steps, I love that stuff. It was so fun.
Yeah. And, I think the timeline has been ridiculously helpful for me because it's really easy, even once you get to like, okay, I know what the event's going to be. I know what the brand's going to be. I know who I'm serving. There's a lot that has to happen on the back end of that, right? Like the brainstorming is just the beginning. The putting strategy behind it is just the beginning. But I am the kind of person that once I see that big to-do list, I'm like, all right, let's go. And I go into this like tunnel almost, right? And I kind of lose track of the world outside of me and I just want to work on that. And when I get distracted or pulled away, I get very angry or upset about that. But having that timeline where Lisa and I looked at, okay, from now until August, that's our first 2 events, what needs to be true and what needs to happen? And it was so helpful to look at like, only 5 things really need to happen in February, and only 6 things really need to happen in March, and only 4 things really have to happen in April. And like, not to say that those things are not big things and that they aren't going to take effort and focus, but there was this permission given to me of like, building the nonprofit doesn't need to be overwhelming.
Yeah. Imagine that.
I know, imagine that. And so it was really powerful too, because I chose to stay behind a couple days after Lisa and I's session was done, because I knew I would want time to soak everything in and to just process it. I mean, it's a lot of work that you're doing in 2 days. It's a lot of mental exhaustion. So I wanted time to just kind of sit and be with it and process. But then I also wanted time to do, like, there's no better time than when you're leaving that and you're so excited and the vision feels clear and you know exactly what's going to happen. And so, I feel very grateful about that too, because I think the timeline was such a big win that I think probably to you is like, oh, this is just part of it. This is just part of the deliverables. This is just part of what happens. But it really is that bridge and that connector between being brainstorming and being strategic about it and actually putting it into action, where you can strategize all day long, but if it doesn't change how you operate or it doesn't change how you put wheels in motion, the strategy is just a sexy piece of paper with some cool ideas on it. But this turned it into actionable things I could actually do that I'm really ridiculously proud of.
As you should be. This is so huge. You're already changing lives, right? Even on the second day in the morning, I come out and you're like, I already did this, this, and this. Whoa, okay. Because you were so excited about it and you've had the vision for a long time, but now you're seeing, oh yeah, and then this step, and then this step, and it's just building to this event, which is happening. Like, that's so exciting.
Yeah, and I think it was really helpful too, because part of our first day was just, and it was probably the hardest part, I would say, of the sessions for me, was when you challenged me to really think about a funnel, and not that the funnel is just goes down in size, but that it may have arms and it may have legs, but I need to think about all of those, and I need to think about how they tie together. And for someone like me who can ideate all day long, and I'll just go, I'll fail and figure it out, and that's fine. But at a certain point, that gets exhausting. You can only spin off so many spokes of your original idea and feel like you're hitting a wall and then be like, I'm just done with this. And so that was really challenging for me to really think about it in that context. But once we figured it out, I was like, okay, I've been headed in the right direction, but I haven't been focused in the right direction to put all of my attention and effort in the areas that are going to actually build this funnel, and this ecosystem is really what it's becoming, and how do I build that together?
Really great point. Because there are so many, even when we were looking at your events through August, there's so many great ideas and so many things that you could do. But right now you're one person. I mean, you have your family helping, but that's a lot. And you work, and you have your family and their schedules. And so you need to be realistic, not you, I'm saying you in general, all of us need to be realistic with our time, our bandwidth. And I appreciated that you realized that. And so you were very intentional about setting up your events and programs.
Yeah. And it's not without fail though, right? Because I think I even told you, post the session, old habits die hard. And I went down a freaking rabbit hole around what our brand is going to look like and what the website's going to look like. Well, that's not on the list until March. I shouldn't have even been looking at it. But in many ways, I was already picturing it, right? So then I started going down the rabbit hole. But when I got down the rabbit hole and got frustrated because I didn't come out with the answer, it was like, it's okay. It's fine you spend a little bit of time thinking about it, but you're not responsible for it getting done until March anyway. So cool. You spent a couple hours doing some research and playing around, didn't land on something, but maybe it got you a step closer. And it's like, that's okay. Whereas I think old me, when I used to try and build businesses alone, I would be like, I just wasted 6 hours on this rabbit hole and I've done nothing for the company and I have nothing to show for it. And this just feels very different the other way around because, like I said, I have that permission that it's not due until March. So if I spend a little bit of time thinking about it now, it's okay, as long as I'm actually focusing on the stuff that I'm supposed to get done in February.
Yeah, you're ahead of the curve, which most times in being an entrepreneur, business owner, we are never ahead of the curve. So yay. Good job. Is there a part of this plan that makes you feel a little sweaty? Like, well, I don't know about this, Lisa.
For the first time in my life, no. And I think I said that to you while we were there. When we were doing the kind of wrap up, and I'd love for you to share more about your process with that, because I thought it was a really, really valuable process. But as I literally took a step back and looked at, I want to say we had something like 20 big stickies on the wall. I just said to you, there's never been something in my life I'm more confident is going to work before. And like, that just feels like the weight is lifted off of me, because I don't think there's any way I can do this wrong now.
Yeah. And your vision is so big, but that's okay, because you have the plan, you have the drive, you have the timeline, you have everything you need to make it successful. And that's just who you are also. Like, you just will, because you believe so deeply in helping parents.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very wild feeling to experience. I have launched multiple businesses. I've changed careers many times. And it's always a like, oh, I don't know, I'm going to give it a shot. And this time around, I don't have that feeling at all. And I think for me personally, one of the most powerful, sorry, Lisa, you're going to have to cut this out. Okay. One of the most powerful reminders that this is different this time around is when I came home, and I didn't share anything with my husband the entire time we were there and we were working. And I was like, we'll talk about it when I get home. And night one, we sat up and I'm telling him, and this and this and this and this, and this is what we're planning. And He's always been super supportive of my ideas. He's always been super supportive of my businesses, but they've always been him on the outside, just kind of watching me navigate it. Lisa, I explained to him family camp, and you'll know exactly what he means when I said this. He's like, oh, so like a cruise on land, and we'll just own the camp that they come to. And I was like, that's what we were looking for. We didn't have that. But I was like, to me, that was such proof that I could explain it clearly, and that there was a goal, and that I knew exactly why we were doing what we were doing and who we were doing it for, that a single conversation with him, he was like, oh, yeah, totally. He's like, literally the answer was like, so where are we buying the camp at? Like, let's go. We already know what we're doing.
The Love Boat on land for parents, for families. Oh my gosh, but how great. And so you're bringing your whole family into this. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because I think this is so special and unique.
Yeah, absolutely. So, part of the reason I've even gone down this route is parenting has been a terribly hard challenge for me. I think oftentimes when I make that statement, people will say, but you're an incredible mom, but your kids are incredible. Your family is awesome. They are all of those things. And I have struggled through this journey. I have struggled with my identity of it. I have struggled with feeling like I didn't do it the way it was modeled to me. I have struggled with feeling like I'm doing it differently than anyone else that I see. And I think in many ways that has felt very isolating. And so, a huge part of this entire overwhelmed and over component is somewhere where you can go and just say, I don't like these kids today, and I need help with that. Or I just need to say I don't like these kids, and I need to be in a space in a community where people think that that's okay and that I don't get judged for that. And so I started, going through and my podcast, Overwhelmed and Over It, is more of like an advice column for parents to be able to ask those questions. And I started realizing I didn't get to this point of comfortability as a parent on my own. It took me being honest with my spouse. It took me being honest with my kids. And so I realized, one, I got a lot of hands and helpers in this house. So you don't know about Overwhelmed Over. It's run by volunteers. Well, I birthed 3 of them. So I hope they're ready to get their shirt on and show up. But the reality is sometimes we lose sight of the magic that kids see in the world. Sometimes we lose sight of the way that they look at the world. And so I thought, with their permission, I asked them if they wanted to participate. How beautiful would it be if you're asking, I'm really struggling with my teenager. I can't connect with them. I don't know how to talk to them. Let's ask the teenager what they want us to know. And so we recently did that. My son Gage was on the podcast recently, and there was a question similar to that. This mom was saying she's having a really hard time connecting with her daughter since she became a teenager. And I have not experienced that yet, but what I have experienced is that we're allowing him to have a lot of alone time. We're allowing him to have a lot of space and his own time because I like it. So I just kind of give that space back to them. And I had started to hit this, am I giving them too much space? Do they feel not neglected, but do they feel like mom or dad could take it or leave it and we're just kind of here, right? I really wanted them to feel special. And so we had this whole conversation and about that question around how do I connect with my teenager? And his answer was, give them space. He said, school's hard. Being a teenager is hard. We're going through a lot of changes. And when our parents are just in it all the time and want to talk and they want to answer and we just need space to process. And so I was like, wow, first of all, that's a free answer to that question. That doesn't cost you a dime. We're going to celebrate that because parenting's freaking expensive. So first of all, free answers. We love that. But second of all, it was it's not easy in terms of there's going to be some emotional disconnection that needs to happen. And maybe mom needs to figure out her identity separate from being mom. And so there's going to be work to be done there. But implementing it and taking one step in that direction can happen today, can happen the minute you hear his answer. And so I really think that that's the magic in this is that it's not a mom giving you their perspective. It's not a dad giving you their perspective. It's 5 of us who are very different human beings who have, very different goals in life, but we also have a singular goal as a family we're working towards. And so I just think it's cool because you get so many different personalities, perspectives, because I have a 5-year-old, I got a 9-year-old, and I have a 14-year-old. So like you've got such a range here that, I guess in a good way, my spread out family is that I can tackle most age ranges in parenting and have true advice given from the person who would be receiving whatever changes you're thinking about implementing.
You are covering all the seasons. And that is so helpful because you can come into your podcast, your website eventually when it's up and running and find ask the questions and then find the answers. That brings me to the human-centered design. And that's what we did during the strategic intensive was we thought about your end user, right? We thought about the parents, the kids, the grandmas. Because when you're talking about parenting, you're talking about anyone who parents, right? We discussed that a lot. Anyone who is there taking care and helping raise the children, correct? Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And so we talked about their needs. Because this is what I see in nonprofits a lot, especially at the one where I work, is people would just decide what the end user needs. And they would create slide decks or they would create, a beautiful presentation and say, and this is the program we're implementing. They never bothered to ask the people that they're serving. And so we looked at that, who you're serving and how they want to be served. And so these parents, they want answers to these questions, but who best to answer them than the kids themselves. So that is so great that you did that because what a way to open up communication. Like you said, to get the free advice, help. Like you're not talking to some therapist. You're talking to the child who is saying, this is what I need. And then now that you, and I know this, we are backing it up and developing those events around those people, which is such a different and very productive way to do it.
Yeah, and I think it even ties to, there was one word that kind of really stuck out quite regularly as we kept working through that weekend was easy. And not for me, but for my audience, right? For the people that are going to be impacted by this. And one of the things I think that people as parents or people who are actively parenting struggle with the most is the weight of the day-to-day life, the weight of it happening makes having a conversation with your kid feel hard because you have to be vulnerable. You have to have created a space where they want to be vulnerable. You have to find the time, and so I think, and I'm so guilty of this still to this day, and I have to talk myself out of it. I find all the reasons why we can't just sit down and have a family conversation. Well, I got to schedule a family meeting and I have to have a slide deck and I have to have a notebook and I have to have all the answers. And, this one's got practice this day, right? And you start running through all the reasons. And I think the other cool thing about bringing the kids in and knowing who we're serving is I'm telling the kids, there's other moms and dads and grandmas who are going to listen to this podcast. What advice would you give them? So they know who they're talking to. But also our episodes are about 5 to 8 minutes in length. So you're seeing, if you have a question, I ask my kid the question and get you the answer in 5 minutes. What's stopping you from having a 5-minute conversation with yours?
Ooh. It's true. We think it has to be some big thing. I better figure out how we can find time for a family dinner. You know where I have my best conversations with my 3 boys? In the car when we are driving somewhere, right? We've talked about that before. It's those 1,000 little moments where they feel comfortable. They don't have to look at me. We can talk about sex or whatever needs to be talked about because I'm in that season, right? With adults. Yeah. Whew, no babies, please. And so these are the conversations, and this is how you do it. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be overplanned, overthought. Yeah.
Yeah. You can be overwhelmed and you can be over it.
Yeah. And I love that so much about you because you talk about it, as do I, of like, you know what? I was not prepared for this. I don't like it a lot of the times, and they are my heart and soul. Right. Mm-hmm. And so how do we do it all, take care of ourselves and them? And it's a lot. And so having other people to talk to and to be in community with them, it's It feels so good. It feels like, oh, I can breathe again.
Yeah. And, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I think parenting is one of those things that, you always feel like you're doing it wrong. You never feel like you're doing it enough. You always feel like you're being judged. It's got these very intense emotions and intense feelings around it. And, we've just gotten away from having outlets. We've gotten away from having a way to make it not so intense and aggressive and like coming out after us. And so, yeah, I think sometimes you just need someone. We wrote this on the paper. Calm the fuck down. You just need someone to tell you that. Like, that wasn't part of our beliefs and as we're thinking through our mission statement. Like, not every nonprofit's got curse words in their mission statement. We don't know if we do yet either, but it's like, but it's that mentality, right? That like sometimes you need, and I do too. I need someone to just check me and be like, yo, you're trying to do too many things. Sit down.
Yes.
Stop it.
And not in a judgy way, but in a like, hey, I see you. I see you spinning. I care about you. Calm the fuck down.
Yep.
And here, go listen to this. Go listen to the 14-year-old tell you what's up.
That's right.
Oh, I'm going to let him go to his room after school and whatever, zone out on TikTok for a minute because that's what he needs to do to decompress. That's what my kid needs. You know what he doesn't need? He doesn't need me. How was your day? Okay. Yeah. Oh, did you go? What did you learn today? They're like, go.
Yeah. They're doing so much socialization at school. And, this is a little side note, but we had started homeschooling and they're now back in school at their choice, but we had homeschooled for a little bit because I started to feel that school was so taxing on them, like corporate world was taxing on me.
Ooh.
Meetings all day. Well, what is it when you're in 6 classes a day? That's no different than us being in meetings all day. And then meeting new people and always having to show up and always having to be on. And like, they need time to decompress. And I knew that. I inherently knew that. But I also, like I said, was starting to feel like maybe I was leaning too far the other way. And so, it never hurts anyone to get a little confirmation that you're doing parenting right.
Yeah. And it's okay to do it differently.
Because
whatever
right?
works best. Yeah, there is no right. It's what works best for your family. And I love that you said that you all have a family goal, right? You know that at the end of the day, you are a family unit. You want to continue to be a family unit. And so you are moving toward that and doing whatever it takes that works best for your unit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you came home, you got to work, and then what? Like, how are you feeling now?
Yeah, I'm feeling like I want to tunnel. Like I just I want to stop everything else and go work on this. But it's because I feel like I have so much clarity and because I feel like, I can just turn it on and make it all happen. But instead, I am celebrating these small, tiny wins. So, an example of that is, and, I think, Lisa, you work with nonprofits in different stages. When we say I'm starting this thing live, it's like, it doesn't even have incorporation papers or an EIN. Like, we are doing all of this, right? And so I went to go fill out my incorporation papers, and I'm using a platform to help me with that just because I'm at a phase where, like, I need to outsource more than I need to own. And it was like, you really need at least a officer. And I'm like, well, dang, Lisa and I talked about this. I really didn't want to focus on this right now, but I already have my board rolling around in my head, right? I already know who that is. So it's like, I can just shoot them a quick text, like, hey, here's the 30-second quick and dirty. I need your address because I'm going to put your name on this form. And I'll get you some more details later, right? So it's like, but it's nice because I don't feel blocked. I don't feel like I'm not making progress. It's just like, okay, I know what 5 steps I need to take this month. So that's what I'm working on. And so the only reason I had to ask one of my board members early was because getting incorporated is part of my goal for this month. And so I'm working on that because I can't, sell tickets to the event until there's a bank account, and then there's a way to do that. And so that's where you start to go, oh my God, I have so many things to do, but you don't. You have a plan. Just work the plan and you'll be fine.
Plan. Yes. And take the steps. And it's important though, like you said, that there are these steps that you need to take one after the other to get to the event. So you do need to back it up. There does need to be strategy. I've been seeing on Instagram lately, you don't need strategy. You just need, I don't even know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, BS. Okay, I agree. That's nice. Go manifest or whatever. But you're not going to manifest this event if you don't put strategy in place. Like you said, you have to get incorporated so you can get the bank account, so you can sell tickets, so you can have your event. Boom. And you're taking the steps. So thank you for seeing that and doing it, because this event is going to be so good.
It is. And like the friends of mine who couldn't come while we were like hanging out, have, text me since, and I'm just like, put April 25th in the afternoon on your calendar. I'll give you more details later. Just block the calendar now. And then the question is the whole family coming or just you? And I'm like, the whole family. And they're like, done. It's on the calendar. And I'm like, yes, because your whole family is included too.
Yes. So it doesn't have to be this, oh my God, do we have to find a babysitter? Oh, I can't because of soccer, blah, 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 blah. It's like a whole family. Yeah. What I also appreciate about you is that you knew where you wanted to do it because your heart's in Tulsa. And you said, wait, oops, I might have to cut this part out. What was I going to say? I can't remember. Sorry. No, there was a reason there, though. Oh, my God. Where? Oh, okay. I know. Here it is. Okay. Boom. Okay. So what I love is that you realize it doesn't have to be a 200-person event to start. It doesn't have to be a gala, however you say it. It just needs to be you saying, here we are. Here's the nonprofit. This is what we stand for. Come and join us. And let's have these core memories. Let's start creating them now.
Yeah. That was huge. And I think almost gone the opposite direction for a while, where I was like, even if just one family shows up, and you kept pushing me like, well, no, you already know more than one family in Tulsa is going to show up because of who you guys are and the relationships you have here. But then also, like, it's going to grow. It's going to get bigger. And so I appreciate that you pushed me in that way. But also those conversations and thinking about it in that way, what happened is old me would have never told someone, block your calendar for this event I'm hosting, without a one-pager and a slide deck and a website that you can check out on. And like, right, like I needed all the things. And I think it goes back to that when you said, what makes you feel worried about this? And I say none of it. It's because I know it's these little seeds. It's these little moments that make all the difference in the world, because I know where we're going. So like I can plant the seeds now because I know what I want to grow. Whereas oftentimes we're like, oh, well, I was a product manager in my former life. So I'm just going to launch a product management business, but I have no idea where I'm going. I have no real reason why I don't. And so this just feels so different in that way, because there is purpose. There is passion. There is a reason that this is happening. And you and I talked about this over this weekend, right? Some women will listen to this and feel that passion and that purpose, but then find a nonprofit that already exists that's doing the thing that they really want to do, and they can get fulfilled by working there or supporting there in that way. That doesn't exist for me for what my vision was, so I'm going to create it, and I'm okay with that. But it's because I know I can plant these little seeds and make it come to life.
Yes. You already are planting them, and you already have people ready to buy tickets. Fantastic.
Yeah, I have 3 RSVPs already.
Yes. And it's so true. Oh, I get caught up in this. I really did when I first started my business. I can't do that until I have a website. I can't do that until all my offers are perfect. It's like, you don't know if your offer is perfect until you put it out into the world. Right? You don't know if this event is going to be successful until you put it out there and see who shows up and get their feedback. And you are ready to pivot if need be, so that you can serve the families the way you want to. And so that's what it's all about, right? Jumping in strategically and seeing what happens. And you're doing it. So yay.
Yeah. And I want to share, because I think it's really important, and you probably don't even realize it because it's just what you do. But as we were laying out the timeline, you stopped me to make sure I put space in there to ask people who attended How was the event? What would you do different? Did you enjoy it? Or to even look at my programming and decide, do I want to do that again next year? Is that the right event going forward? And so I really appreciated that, because inherently I know that that is important and I know that that's true. But when you are often planning strategically, you're just thinking of the future and where you're going. You don't count for time to slow down and see where you've come from, and learn from that. Not that you need to go back to it, but you need to learn from it. And so, yeah, there'll be a lot that I'll learn from this first event, and it's in my April to-dos to make sure I spend time learning from the event, which is the most important.
Yes, you're going to stay a couple days after with your family, correct? So that you can decompress, think about it, write it all down, because we just moved to the next thing. We women, and entrepreneurs in general, we are just guilty of that. Yeah. I tell my clients all the time, like, hey, stop. Pat yourself on the back, right? Like, you just did it. How did it go? Are you proud of yourself? Like, yeah, come on, celebrate it. And think about what worked, what didn't. I did that a lot when I was in the wine industry, because I needed to move wine. I needed to move a product. So if I had an event, I needed to know from those people, did you like the Chardonnay or the Sangiovese? Okay, we're going to switch it up next time. So it's kind of, that's the other thing that we talked about. A nonprofit is a business, like it or not. You can have a big heart and a big vision, but it's a business. And at the end of the day, you need to fundraise, you need to do all the things to keep the lights on. And so you really need to think about that feedback loop so that you keep these people, your community, in your funnel, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have one decided now. Now we get to keep them.
Yes. And then the other thing I appreciated is that you were open to, okay, now let's check back in May, like, let's check back in a few months, see how the first event went, what you're feeling. Is this working for you and your family as well as you move forward? And then figure out your next steps and timeline.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Lisa, I just thank you. Thank you is not enough. It's not enough words. But the strategic planning weekend was magical. It was magical to my vision. It was magical to the weight of ideas that I've been carrying. And, I think we've talked several times in this series around the ripple effect, and you are a start of a huge ripple. And I hope that you know that.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. It's my purpose. I love it.
Mm-hmm. You're so good at it.
Thank you. So next time we get together, we're going to talk one more time before your event, because I and listeners, viewers, hear about, so what's going on now? Like, you came home from strategic planning, you're super excited, you've got it all dialed in. How's it really going, a few weeks, a month later before the event and the wind up to that? So that'll be fun to talk about. Hopefully it'll be fun for you. You're not like pulling your hair out, but I know you won't.
Yeah. No, and I'm excited. I'm excited to share that reality, right? I think there's plenty of people who listen, who host events, and it's hard. It's hard work. And so I think just hearing from someone else how it's actually going and the reality of it will be really helpful. So if you have specific questions you want to know about how it's going, like, drop them in the comments or let Lisa know, and we'll make sure we talk about it when we come back, as we've got a brand identity, a website, and an event that's getting ready to happen.
Absolutely. So where can people find you?
So we have the podcast, Overwhelmed and Over It. We're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And we have a new exclusive Reddit community. That is where we are gathering now. So if you just need to ask a question, want advice, join us on Reddit. And we're Overwhelmed and Over It community on there as well.
Fantastic. Thank you, Gabs.
Check mark.
Always a pleasure.
I got my first item done. It was done before we left. The Reddit community was on that list.
See, I get so happy. I love those check marks. All right, everyone. We will see you next time. Can't wait.